A record of a mortal's journey to immortality 127. Hanli never expected that the ordinary-looking piece of copper was actually the Panqing True Plate, a sacred object of the Si clan. He had previously declared he had the power to bathe the place in blood, greatly shocking the cultivators present. They also recalled Hanli inquiring about information regarding level 8 demonic beasts. Therefore, they all speculated that Hanli was a nascent soul-old monster. Wen Si in Hanli's arms was also very surprised. She would rather die than be someone else's cauldron, which is why she had placed all her hope on Hanli. She never expected this foreign cultivator to be so powerful. He alone had intimidated all the cultivators present. Seeing that the others had lowered their heads and submitted, Hanli sneered, then stretched out his hand, drawing the dark-skinned cultivator's copper plate into his hand. He then indifferently said, "I'll take this. How many spirit stones do you want?" The dark-skinned cultivator was a little surprised, wondering if Hanli was trying to rob him or buy it. He subconsciously replied, 75,000 spirit stones. Hanli threw him a level 5 demon core, then turned to Madame Fan and said, "Don't say I'm robbing you. Consider these materials on the female cultivator's table at the counter as the price for exchanging for Cu's freedom." He then had Wen Si release her grip and stood up, walking towards the exit. Wen Si, somewhat panicked, hurriedly followed him out. Just then, Madame Fan asked Hanli to stop. Hanli stopped, wondering why she still had the audacity to call him back. He also wanted to see what she was going to do. Wen Si became slightly nervous and involuntarily moved closer to Hanli's side. Madame Fan hurriedly explained that their sect was preparing to build a teleportation formation back to the inner star sea. They were still lacking some key materials, so this exchange meeting was actually to ask for help from fellow Taoists. As long as someone could help their sect complete the teleportation formation, the Miaoin sect would offer free passage back to the inner star sea. Upon hearing this, the other cultivators present stirred. Most of them were somewhat tempted. The outer star sea was now the domain of demonic beasts, and they were constantly hunting human cultivators. So, they had long wanted to return to the inner star sea. However, without a teleportation formation, if they were to fly back on their own, it would take 5 or 6 years to reach the inner sea. They would also encounter various dangers along the way. Madame Fan continued, explaining that their sect had already collected some teleportation talismans needed for the teleportation. The quantity was sufficient for all the Taoists present. Now, they were still lacking the rare material, Phantom Dreamstone. After years of searching, they had found a location where Phantom Dreamstone was produced. However, that place was close to the habitat of a group of high-ranked demonic beasts. Most of those demonic beasts were around level 5 or 6, so they needed to gather a group of core formation cultivators to exterminate all these demonic beasts. Not a single demonic beast could be allowed to escape, otherwise it would be troublesome if they attracted even higher-ranked demonic beasts. Upon hearing about high-ranked demonic beasts, the core formation cultivators were quite frightened. The dark-skinned cultivator asked why they didn't seek out a nascent soul cultivator. Madame Fan explained that since the beast died, the whereabouts of most nascent soul cultivators were unknown. They had only managed to contact one, Senior Miaoin. With his participation, they could deal with the level 7 demonic beasts among that group. And Siue was the cauldron specifically requested by the senior. Hearing this, Hanli pondered for a moment, then casually said, "I have no interest in participating in this matter. You all can handle it yourselves." Then, he walked out the door without a second glance. Wen Si followed closely behind. Only a group of wide-eyed cultivators remained in the hall. Seeing this, Madame Fan showed undisguised disappointment. Yun Tianxia began to introduce the situation regarding the group of demonic beasts to the remaining people, letting them decide whether or not to participate. It must be said that Yun Tianxia was also a ruthless person who could endure humiliation. Not long after being severely injured by Hanli, he now acted as if nothing had happened, calmly and unhurriedly discussing the matter of the demonic beast group with the others. When Siue asked Hanli, "Do you really not want to return to the inner star sea?" Hanli asked back, "Why? Do you want to go back?" When Siyue's voice trailed off, her last words left unspoken. After they left the secret chamber, Hanli's shield enveloped Siyue and they soared through the air. Along the way, when Siyue remained silent and Hanli didn't offer any explanation, simply continuing to fly with her. 2 days later, Hanli finally found a deserted island with a faint spiritual aura and immediately descended. He promptly carved out a new cave dwelling, fully equipping it with a bedroom, secret chamber, refining room, and medicinal garden. Hanli looked around and felt quite satisfied. After setting up a few formations at the entrance, he led Wen Si inside. Hanli took Wen Si directly into the bedroom. Then, sitting on a freshly made chair, he carefully examined Siyue before slowly saying, "You will live here from now on. I will tell you the incantations for the cave entrance formation. Cultivate diligently here, and you still have a chance to reach the core formation stage." Under Hanli's gaze, a blush crept across Wen Siyue's face. Somewhat flustered, she said, "Thank you, seniorly." "Seniorly?" Hanli chuckled. "Excuse me, I should call you Wen Siyue." He wasn't sure how to address her now that she was in his world, wondering what the proper form of address should be. Hanli said softly, "You can just call me Mr. Li." Hanli hadn't revealed his true appearance to Wen Siyue, still speaking to her in his transformed middle-aged man form. When Siyue obediently called him Mr. Li, Hanli nodded in satisfaction, then inquired about Wen Siyue's history with the Miaoyin sect. During their conversation, Hanli learned that a shocking upheaval had occurred in the Miaoyin sect when Ziling went to the Shutian temple to collect medicinal herbs. Zhuoyu disappeared without a trace during this time, his whereabouts unknown. The power within the sect fell into the hands of Fanswisher and a group of outsiders. The Miaoyin sect thus became a vassal of the demonic path. After Fanswisher became the sect master, he brought the sect disciples to Qiyuan Island. Wen Siyue was also brought along against her will. Afterward, the Miaoyin sect established a secret chamber there, which has continued to operate until now. Among the female disciples, those with dissenting opinions either disappeared or were sent away. Most of them have vanished without a trace. If Hanli hadn't rescued her, she would have also become someone else's cauldron. However, Fanswisher and Yun Tianxiao had been using the secret chamber to gather intelligence. They seemed to be searching for something. Since it didn't concern him, Hanli didn't bother to inquire about it. Previously, Hanli had eliminated the disciples of Temple Yin and true person Miaohe. Now, he had also taken Miaohe's intended cauldron. Since the Miaoyin sect was involved with Miaohe, Hanli didn't want to get entangled in their affairs. Therefore, he had flatly rejected Madame Fan's proposal. There were still a group of nascent soul-old monsters searching for him in the inner star sea. Before his cultivation broke through the bottleneck, Hanli hadn't even considered returning to the inner star sea. He pondered Wen Siyue's words repeatedly and didn't find anything amiss. It seemed that she hadn't lied to him. It was no wonder Hanli was so cautious. The Shutian cauldron he possessed was simply too tempting. Countless nascent soul-old monsters wanted to find him. And throughout history, cases of people falling into traps because of women were not uncommon. Hanli didn't want to become one of them due to carelessness. Of course, overall, the possibility of Siyue being a trap was very low. After all, no one could grasp his whereabouts. He also believed that early nascent soul cultivators couldn't see through his disguise technique. Seeing Hanli's fluctuating expression, Wen Siyue couldn't help but reveal a look of unease. If given the chance to choose again, would Wen Siyue still be willing to be Hanli's concubine? The great philanthropist Feng Shi is about to appear. After Hanli emerged, Wen Siyue was still in seclusion, refining medicinal pills. She likely wouldn't emerge for 2 or 3 months. He didn't disturb her. Instead, he left several magical artifacts in her bedroom and the incantations to control the cave's formations, then departed alone. 1 month later, Hanli flew to the vicinity of the Qiyuan Sea region. He began to restrain his aura and conceal his tracks. The Qiyuan Sea region had become a lair for high-ranked demonic beasts, so he didn't dare to be careless. Afterward, Hanli frequently encountered various demonic beasts, but because his concealment technique was highly effective, he approached the sea region without incident. Several days later, Hanli spotted the target island and stopped. A solemn expression appeared on his face. The Gale Wind Beast's nest that Wen Si had mentioned was on that island. Naturally, Hanli didn't dare fly directly in. If the adult rank 8 Gale Wind Beast happened to be inside the nest, he would be courting death. Hanli also didn't dare release his divine sense to scout the island because it would expose his presence. Some distance from the island, Hanli found a reef exposed above the water's surface. He set up a small illusion formation on it and cultivated there, patiently monitoring the island. He planned to wait for the rank 8 demonic beast to leave before sneaking in, grabbing the half-demon grass and escaping. The binding grass was ineffective against rank 8 demonic beasts, otherwise, Hanli could have used it to lure the beast away. Now, he could only wait patiently. Several months passed, and no demonic beasts appeared on the island. Hanli finally lost his patience. He began to wonder if the adult Gale Wind Beast had abandoned the nest. Another month passed with no sign of the demonic beast. Helpless, Hanli finally decided to investigate the island. He couldn't remain on the reef for years. One morning, Hanli restrained all his spiritual energy and quietly flew onto the island. Halfway up a rocky mountain, he saw the dark cave entrance concealed by several giant rocks that Wen Si had described. The cave entrance was several jong in size. Hanli cast various supplementary spells on himself, completely concealing his figure, and carefully entered. The cave was very deep, leading straight down. The further he went, the more humid it became. After some time, Hanli arrived at a corner. He stopped, a nervous expression on his face. He then used his divine sense to scan ahead. A moment later, a strange expression appeared on his face. Hanli hesitated briefly, then gritted his teeth and rounded the corner. A huge natural cavern suddenly appeared before him. It was over 100 jong wide and more than 10 jong high. A faint green light flickered on the stone walls and ceiling. In the center was a blue pool. Around the steaming pool grew strange plants. Among them, Hanli saw several inch-long, pitch-black grasses. A hint of excitement appeared on his face. This was the half-demon grass he'd been searching for. Only half-demon grass near a rank 8 demonic beast was black. Below rank 8, it was gray. When Hanli saw the pool in the center, his expression turned serious. When he'd scanned the area with his divine sense, he discovered that the pool was unfathomably deep. If the Gale Wind Beast was in the cave, it was most likely beneath the pool. Hanli licked his lips and, without further hesitation, flashed to the edge of the pool. He took out a jade box and grabbed at the herbs. The half-demon grasses were uprooted and flew into the box. Hanli put the half-demon grass away, a joyful expression on his face. It was quite unexpected how easily he had obtained it. However, it wasn't wise to linger. Just as Hanli turned to flee, a man's voice came from behind him. "You lingered around here for so long, just for these few plants? Human cultivators are truly strange." Hanli's expression changed drastically, his face turning extremely unsightly. The rank 9 demonic beast, Feng Shi, had discovered him. Naturally, Hanli couldn't escape. How will Feng Shi deal with Hanli? Please give us a like and subscribe, fellow Taoists. Let's continue our chat in the next episode.